Greetings and welcome to our daily walk through the scriptures for February the 24th. Hope you're having a blessed one. Our readings for today came out of Leviticus chapter 15 and 16, the first 28 verses. Then we started Mark chapter 7, 1 through 23, finished out Psalm 40, and Proverbs chapter 10, verses 13 and 14. Now, I know, Leviticus can get really tough. I know, when you start reading about discharges and unclean and those kind of things, you kind of look at it and go, wow, this is painful. I get it. I do. But I want to challenge you. Well, first of all, stick with it. You're doing great. Don't give up. Stay on the course. Stay in this thing. Don't back down. But I hope that as you read it, you're seeing things that make more sense in other parts of your reading. Like today, as you're reading in Mark chapter 7, and you see the Pharisees talking to Jesus and saying that they didn't wash their hands and those kind of things. And Jesus talks about, or says, why don't your disciples live according to the traditions of the elders? And they're eating with defiled hands. Hopefully, as you're reading Leviticus, you recognize a little bit of the perspective of where the Pharisees are coming from. They're trying to say, we're trying to follow the law. We're gonna do the law. And so, hopefully there's a little bit of an understanding as to what exactly they're talking about. Because if you're reading it and you go, they're not washing their hands, you're like, well, what's the big deal? Why, so what? They're not washing their hands. I have to make my children wash their hands after they go to the bathroom, for goodness sakes. Unclean hands happens. But now you're starting to see that one of the reasons that they had such a difficult time with it is because of the strength of these laws and the power of these laws and God trying to convey to them his holiness. The problem came in, though, when they took these laws and they added new laws to them, which we've talked about before, but also that they made the law the most important thing. Because that wasn't the purpose of these laws, was it? The purpose of these laws was to set aside the people of Israel. Leviticus is all about setting aside of these people so that everyone in the world can see them and understand who God is. And that God, Jehovah, Yahweh, is unique among all the other little g gods in creation. So when we read the laws in Leviticus, we're getting a better understanding of the holiness of God and the holiness of God's chosen people. And so we're not supposed to look at this law as the end. It is the means to point people towards God. That's where the Pharisees missed it. And so when they look at this and they talk about the traditions and the tradition, the cups and everything like that, Jesus goes, you missed it. And then he quotes Isaiah when he says, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. This is what it's talking about. We today, we can have the same struggle. We like to check boxes. We do. That's been a big thing. As a matter of fact, if you're part of the boomer generation and some of the older Gen X's, you understand that was a big part of church. You went to church when the doors opened up. You had the boxes of everything that you checked off. You read, you did these things and you did that so that you were shown to be a good Christian. So there was that part of it. And so we can easily fall into that check box aspect of it and just tell me what I need to do to be a good Christian. We fall into this, and even younger generations will still have that, but their boxes look a little different. They're going to look at more of the care for other people as their checkbox, but they're going to use the argument, well, that makes me a good person. Regardless of how you decide to check the box, this is what Jesus is fighting against when he tells us that the law is not about boxes. The law is not about checking these things off to make sure that you have done the thing. It is the heart. We need to not hold on to human traditions, but instead we want to follow the commands of God. And every single one of the commands that you see in Leviticus points to God. That's the point. Pun intended. They all reference God. They're showing us God. They're showing us the holiness of God, the power of God, and the love of God. We must never forget that. So as you're reading Leviticus and as you're wrestling with it, and as you even read about the Day of Atonement, remember and realize that the atonement is about grace. It's about forgiveness. And so even when you read all the weird, crazy stipulations and things that they had to follow, recognize that it was all about atonement. Not the rules, the atonement. Okay, have a blessed one. We'll talk next time.